And what was the context of this?
I don't know. They were playing a game, and
That's what they do on Game Grumps.
well, yeah. And then the I think it was the curly haired one. I don't know.
Dan and Aaron.
He the person on the game was talking about how he fired and missed, and they made a whole thing about how he fired and then he missed and then he passed out and he woke up and he ate a snow cone and he fired again.
I've been the one that's been drinking most of this time. I was gonna save that part. And so I might do this in a bunch of different sections. I don't know. So on October 16th, actually, the guy that played Jim Leahy, Mr. Leahy from Trailer Park Boys died.
Are you serious?
So, yeah. So for him and the awesome Adam West, just a moment of silence and just to pay our respects. And my dog has a bunch of clumps near his groin where his hair is. That was not me disrespecting though. That's just, we could talk about gentrification or we could make some jokes.
Let's make some jokes.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he was 71, which I feel like's kind of young. Unfortunately, I don't know what the details were, but I saw looking up him, the girl that plays Sarah, which is the redhead on the show, is actually his daughter. So, and I was just kind of looking up who the cast was because I've gone kind of into that show. But he died October 16th, 2017. So.
Oh my goodness.
And we were just talking about that show, which was crazy. Yeah. So, but things go on, and I guess best wishes to his family and all that stuff, and prayers for them.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
And so I turned down a job on Wednesday.
Yeah. What job?
It was a job. It was not a sales representative, but it sure as heck seemed like it. It was a job where there could have been some movement up, but I didn't seem like I would enjoy it. It was as an account manager at a marketing firm, which I thought was going to be a little bit different than just a sales rep, but it seemed like it was mostly going to be a sales rep, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy going into work every day doing that. Mm-hmm. So that happened. Do you know what my Family Guy what I've been trying to do with Family Guy is?
I know that Family Guy is gonna be off Netflix.
It's not off of Netflix yet.
Yeah.
But what they did do is they cut it down to the first 8 seasons. Mm. So do you know what has happened? Do you know the situation so far?
Go ahead.
So I ended up watching. I saw that, I think October 3rd. I saw a little notice on the corner that said October 29th. I think it said like this season is available until October 9th or October 29th or something like that. So I decided to watch about 5.5 seasons of Netflix in about 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
And I like that show. It's actually a show that's easy to watch at any time, but I also felt like I ran through it, and I feel like I didn't enjoy it to the extent that I could have, but I'm glad that I did it, because now it's off Netflix.
It is officially off?
It's not officially off. The first 8 seasons are still there. So you still get to see some of the Prime stuff, and I know a lot of people will say that it was like bad past season 10. I would disagree, but I will say there is an episode where the son, Chris, there's an entire storyline that revolves around Brian pretending to be a millionaire. He goes into a jewelry store. He buys a diamond ring. And I feel like this was a joke that had several seasons of setup. Chris eats the ring, and the audience is just expected to just go along with that. And as the audience, I kind of did, because I was like, oh yeah, Chris is a very stupid boy. But on the other hand, that kind of takes some work on the writing staff's part as well.
So then what was the premise of the episode? Does he poop it out again?
Yeah. That was the premise of the episode, was that he needed to poop it out. And they did a lot of things to try to, but it circled around Act 2 having to be, well, at least that story's Act 2, having to be Chris to poop out a diamond ring that Brian bought because he could return it within 72 hours.
Oh my god.
So, that...
I've been watching a lot of Rick
You've
and
been
Morty.
watching a lot of Rick and Morty?
A lot of Rick and Morty and a lot of Rick and Morty theories.
A lot of Rick and Morty. Okay, what's your favorite theory?
Oh gosh.
You saw the one where it was all the like Ricks and all the Mortys, right? You saw that one? Okay.
Which one?
Well, there's the
first one.
Isn't there two? There's the Rick Syndicate, and then there's like Rick Lannis. Isn't that the other one?
Yeah, and then there's one from the newest season 3, that one of the Mortys is running for president.
No, I keep seeing it on live streams is where I'm seeing all this Rick and Morty stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I'm digging it as something to kind of go to sleep with.
Mm-hmm.
I like Rick and Morty. I like it. It seems like they do a lot of stuff that I haven't seen other shows do, other shows try to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't love it. I'll say that. But you've been watching it, so what?
There's a lot of theories revolving around Evil Morty, or the quote-unquote Evil Morty.
And that's the one that got elected president. Yeah. Spoiler!
Yeah. Spoiler.
I would have been helpful if I did that before we said that. Hey, guess what? I don't care about your feelings.
Spoiler. There's a lot of theories revolving around Evil Morty, and then there's a lot of, there's one that, like, Evil Morty is the Rick C-137's original Morty, and then there's theories that Evil Morty is, or just Morty in general, is actually Rick. There's a lot of theories like that. There's a theory that Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty are connected because the writers of the two shows are like really good friends. And then there's different little Easter eggs in Rick and Morty that, like, there's this one where in Gravity Falls, the guy, I don't know Gravity Falls, the guy loses his cup and his writing pad, and then in Rick and Morty, the cup and the pad fall through a portal. So it's either like they're being like, oh yeah, these universes are connected, or it's just like them being friends.
I could see the creators of those two shows being buds.
Yeah.
They're both. What did happen was, one thing I do know about Gravity Falls, which I didn't watch a ton of, I've seen a little bit of Gravity Falls, and I like it. I know that the creator that went into that, the showrunner, he was like, I want to do 2 seasons, and that's it. Because he'd seen, like, how much it's taken out of, like, Hartman to do all his different stuff, and how much it took out of the creator of SpongeBob to do it, and how many showrunners The Simpsons has gone through, and all that. And, like, all of them were kind of bitter, except for maybe Seth MacFarlane, who hasn't done any, like, real writing in years. He's just in charge of making sure the talent stays happy and he hires the right people. Yeah. But other than him, who I'm sure he's a really hard worker, to be totally honest, but still, other than him, who's kind of on easy streak as far as animated showrunners go, and kind of showrunners in general, which is a hard job. From what I understand, being a showrunner is really not very easy. It takes a lot out of you. But yeah, apparently the guy that just went into the creator of Gravity Falls just went into it, and he's like, I just want to do 2 seasons, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Do you know how many seasons? I think it was more than 2. I think it was like 3, right?
No,
3
I'm pretty sure it was just 2 seasons.
Was it just 2?
It was 2, like, I think it was 26 episodes each, so they're kind of longer seasons. And I think a lot of the Gravity Falls episodes are 30 minutes, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. So they were kind of long seasons, but I think it was just 2 seasons, opposed to SpongeBob, which is like on season 12. And you know that what the pirate is the guy that plays SpongeBob, right?
The pirate at the beginning?
The pirate who's like SpongeBob's #1 fan is the voice of SpongeBob.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Tom Kenny or whatever.
Tom Kenny, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
Tom Kenny is, he got offered that job, I believe, when he was doing, do you know what Mr. Show is? You're really little.
No.
I'm really little. Mr. Show, do you know who Bob Odenkirk is?
No.
You don't?
No.
You don't?
Well, maybe. I don't know. Who is he?
Do you know who David Cross is?
I mean, what do they do? Who are they?
Well, David Cross is a a still active comedian. He's one of the he's kind of older. He's bald, but he still keeps the side on his head. Not Bill Burr. He's I feel like he's been on several like Tina Fey project stuff. Do you know who I'm talking about now? I think so. He's usually wears black rimmed glasses. Yeah. That guy. Or sometimes they're thin. Do you remember Alvin in the Chipmunk movie?
Oh.
Do you remember the jerk off in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's David Cross.
Oh, okay.
And Bob Odenkirk is Better Call Saul.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So back in who knows, before SpongeBob even, they had a show together called Mr. Show, which was a sketch comedy show, like your Key and Peele's and your Mind of Mencia's and your Chappelle shows and all sorts of other stuff. And he was offered the job while he was doing Mr. Show. Tom Kenny was on Mr. Show with those two guys who were the runners of it. And they also have a show, I think it's called with David and Bob or something, that's on Netflix right now, which is I mean, it's funny. I don't just like Rick and Morty. I don't love it. I like it less than Rick and Morty though. It's kind of, I feel like it's still comedy from like 15 years ago. So you're like, okay. It's all sketches about, I don't know. It's not bad. It's just not, there's nothing topical about it. It's no Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Which still, I won't get into Saturday Night Live. I won't get into that too much. But I've been just cruising through Family Guy for the past 2 weeks. And there's some weird character development of Brian. Everyone beginning to call Brian on all of his crap.
Yeah.
There's several points where he'll say something, and I remember saying, he said something about like Catcher in the Rye or something, and Stewie's like, oh, that's that base knowledge that I'm used to, because he's just like saying something about it, and he's not saying anything deep. He's not digging into it, and you kind of realize like they kind of want to expose Brian as like this phony in the show. So they've got that. Again, there's the Chris thing where they've just made him like the Kevin from The Office thing. They've just made him dumber and dumber and dumber.
Yeah.
But Kevin in The Office is a different story because Family Guy is a cartoon. Family Guy, it's fine for people to be big old dummies, but Kevin in The Office, I know I've told you this before, but audience, hey, hi there. This is Ryan. So there's an episode of The Office where Holly, who is the HR person that takes over for Toby, he leaves, and Michael tells Holly that Kevin is part of like their special hire program, indicating that Kevin has some mental deficiencies. And from that moment on, they slowly make Kevin stupider and stupider and stupider until like halfway through season 9. Has been pointed out to me that Kevin just so dumb. He has like the intellect of like a 10-year-old by season 9 as like a 45-year-old man.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the few things about The Office that I don't like. Around season 6, they lean into being awkward a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because up to that point, it's just kind of, I mean, they lean into it like big time. You're just like, oh, this makes me physically feel uncomfortable. I don't know if I want to watch this. I would rather watch, as much as it because I feel like the writing in The Office is better than Parks and Rec. I gotta say I like Parks and Rec better.
Really?
I really do. I think and I think this is either the first or second season, but one of the first things that really had me blown out of the water was there was this mini horse that died, and apparently it was a big deal in Pawnee, which is where everybody lives, that this mini horse died. And she tells Chris Pratt's character that he should write a song because he's in a band. And he was like, well, what should it be? What should it be about? What should it be like? And she's like, I don't know. Just write like a candle in the wind, but 1,000 times better. So they pretty much just perform like Candle in the Wind, but they say 1,000 candles in the wind. Which I thought was so stupid, but so funny. It was, and they perform it and it sounds good. Like, it sounds good, but it's just super, super funny to me that like they just, it kind of comes out of nowhere because you didn't really focus on, like, it didn't focus any on Andy writing the song or anything like that. So it just kind of jumps on you. It just kind of creeps in and you're like, oh wait, that's right. She told him to write something like a Candle in the Wind, but 1,000 times better. So he's singing 1,000 candles in the wind.
That's funny.
That show. Can I talk a second that Parks and Rec has completely and totally created Aziz Ansari's career?
Yeah.
Because he's a really solid stand-up comedian. But I feel like without that big break from Parks and Rec, he would kind of be, I don't know who to really compare him to. He'd kind of be like what's his name? Chris Delaney, which you're looking at me like, oh, who's this guy? Exactly.
From what?
What is his show? He has a show, which is kind of nothing, which nobody knows about. I think it's like 40 and I don't know what's it called. And that's my point is that he would be that guy, where he'd be a solid like stand-up comedian, but he'd have no real brand recognition, I guess is the word I'm looking for. You wouldn't see his face and be like, oh, I know this guy. That's Aziz Ansari. I'm going to go get his autograph and bother him.
Mm-hmm.
But without that, like he's able to create and direct his own show based off of his performance on Parks and Rec is what I feel.
Yeah. Are you talking about Masters of
Oh, yeah. Which, did you see this? You saw the second season, correct?
No, I've only seen the first.
No?
Yeah, I need to see the second one.
Alrighty. Well, let me tell you, the second season, compared to the first, is, I gotta say, it's kind of a train wreck.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It's, in the first season, I feel like it wasn't, like, taking itself too seriously, and he wanted to make, like, this story kind of similar to his own life, obviously drawn from his own life, you can tell that.
Yeah.
But, he wanted to do it in, like, this comedic and, like, weird way. And, there obviously was romantic subplot, and there's still romantic subplot in the second season. There's his, like, him trying to bond with his family as well, and that's also in the second season. But I feel like what the second season lacked really was, like, it was kind of going for broke. It wasn't trying to be jovial. It wasn't trying to be, not that this show was the first season was like innocent or anything, but there was there's like I feel like there's an untouched, like, kind of pureness about it. Like, he wanted to make the show, him and that guy, Alan Yang, they said, let's make a show, you know, I'll be the star of it. And he's like, yeah, you'll be the star of it. And we'll make this show about this young actor who's got kind of an eclectic group of friends, a small group of friends that he's known forever. And, you know, he's a funny guy. He's an energetic guy, just like you. And they ran from that, and they did things that they knew that they could do. Like, they weren't trying to go kind of way out there. And Aziz didn't direct very many of the stuff from the first season either.
Oh, he didn't? He
directed a lot of the stuff from the second. Or, not tons of it. The ones that I saw that were directed by Aziz Ansari, I would say were the far weakest episodes.
Oh, yeah.
It's not bad. It's enjoyable for sure. The second season is enjoyable, but there's just points in it where I feel like it didn't make sense. It didn't jive well, and it just didn't. I don't know. It seemed like the first season was smaller in like stature. It was more contained. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Opposed to the second one, seemed like it wasn't as contained. It seemed like it was kind of going. There was an episode. The first episode starts black and white, and he's in Italy, and almost the entire episode's in Italian. Huh, okay. And I feel like that just would not fly in season 1.
Yeah.
There's also another episode where it doesn't even really involve Aziz too much. He's in the first 2 minutes of it, and then it goes to these different stories that are going on with New York. I remember there's a deaf girl and her having troubles with her relationship with her deaf boyfriend, and about a immigrant guy who was working as a taxi driver or maybe it was Uber, I don't know, along with his friends who were also doing taxis or Ubers or whatever it was. And those were the main two storylines. It had very little to do with Aziz.
So it's characters we've never seen before.
It was characters you've never seen before, you'll never see again.
Huh.
And that's what I mean, it wasn't as focused. It was just kind of...
Yeah.
He wanted to tell these... I feel... Maybe it's not on Aziz. Maybe it was the other guy. Maybe it was Netflix Studio or whoever. Mm-hmm. I think it actually is a Universal Studios production. I think it's what it is. And it's picked up and broadcast by Netflix, opposed to on NBC, which is, I don't fully understand. I guess they want to reach a different market, and maybe it pays better to outsource it through Netflix, opposed to buying it on their own network. Whatever. We'll not get in. We're not here to talk about that. About the Hollywood Insider. But it doesn't seem as contained. It doesn't seem as focused. Which the first one I thought it's pretty a focused story, right? It's pretty driven by cause and effect and action and reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Now each episode covers a separate thing, but it's still a solid story. And this one didn't feel like it was as solid of a story. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem even as much of the episodes being cause and effect, you know. And towards the end, it straight up became about this relationship that was budding kind of out of nowhere.
Oh, okay.
And
did it seem forced?
Oh yeah. But that's coming from me and a lot of relationships that I see, or a lot of love interests I see in TVs and movies. I feel like, oh, this is so forced. This is so unnecessary for it. But it's just, I don't know, not as focused is all I'd like to say. There's some shows I have, there's shows that I've seen that didn't fall off the mat. I don't know, I just didn't think that the question needs to be asked, what was it right for them to do even a second season? Because I feel like it wasn't. I feel like the first season wrapped up actually nice.
Yeah,
I feel like them going on to another project honestly would have been better than them doing season 2 of Master of None.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I've seen, It's not super often, but a lot of times you have to play it, and I get it, and you have to play it safe after you get, like, they're like, oh, that was really good, let's do another season. And, you know, as like a showrunner or whatever, you're like, yeah, I've gotten used to these actors, I've gotten used to all my coworkers, everybody on set, these producers, these writers. So yeah, it's easy to do a season 2, but that doesn't mean it's going to be as good.
Yeah.
Whereas you can kind of be the jerk and be like, I guess it would be kind of a jerk move to be like, no, I want to pursue a new avenue. Mm-hmm. Which, in this case, unfortunately, probably would have been the better thing for them to be like, well, I did, like, talking to the studio, hey, how about from the same team that gave you yada yada,
yeah,
we do this, and then you can cut some of the fat. I mean, Black Panther, the movie Black Panther, and Creed,
yeah,
right? Michael B. Jordan, mm-hmm. who was the star of Creed,
yeah.
and is also in Black Panther,
yeah.
who is also the star of that director. They're directed by the same guy, by the way, Ryan Coogler is what I think his name is, or Cougar, something like that. He's the director of both Creed and Black Panther. Mm-hmm. And Michael B. Jordan is in that. He starred in Creed, and he starred in that other guy's maybe not first movie, but his first, like, really funded Hollywood movie, which is called Fruitvale Station, and that was starring Michael B. Jordan. Mm-hmm. And I get that these are movies, but there wasn't a Fruitvale Station Part 2.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he probably kept on. It's the same thing with any good creative team. Even if it's a showrunner or an executive producer or whatever, they usually stay on, like, together as a team. You might as well. So you don't always need to make a season 2, and it's probably a little bit too insider Hollywood but I know some people enjoy this. Please enjoy this. Please enjoy this. I'm doing this for you, listener. I just want to make you happy. I'll do whatever you need me to. Do you want me to be your clown, or do you want me to be your serious talking head? I don't know. I just want to make you happy. Just smile. Just smile wherever you are. But any group like that, like we were talking about, the guys that were on Rick and Morty and on Gravity Falls, like, are friends and everything. Mm-hmm. And I can kind of see a similar comedy style, honestly, between those two things, because inevitably, if you are in the entertainment industry or whatever, if you're in the industry, the people you bump into, the people you're around, they're going to rub off on you. Mm-hmm. So Seth Rogen making The Interview and making This Is the End and making Pineapple Express with Seth Rogen, it's not just him, it's also who's the guy from
Seth Rogen making it with Seth
Rogen. I mean with James Franco. But it also has, all those movies have does The Interview have Danny McBride? I can't remember. Your Highness sure does.
Yeah.
Your Highness does. So that's kind of and that's Danny McBride's movie, and that also has James Franco in it.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's probably a lot of the same, maybe not a lot of the same writers, but some of the same writers too, and everything. The people, like, those connections you make and everything, like, you kind of stick with some of these people, and, you make, sometimes you find something good, like, you get something good, like, you get something good, kind of like, hey, what am I saying? Where was I going with this? Oh, you get something good like Pineapple Express, which isn't my favorite movie, but still funny. Or you'll get kind of a flop like, like Your Highness.
Yeah.
But, like, I know a lot of directors that have a career and a history and all that. Like Judd Apatow has like his number one producer. Like he has a number one producer for him. Like he's like, yeah, this guy is on every single set I'm with because I trust him, because I know him, and I know he's like the lead. Like it's gonna say, you know, directed by Jim Gaffigan or whatever. I would love to see a movie directed by Jim Gaffigan, produced by Judd Apatow. By the way, that'd be a great movie. I don't know what it'd be. It'd be good. I don't feel like they've worked very much together, to be honest, which is surprising to me because, like, I mean, Jim Gaffigan is a pretty clean comedian opposed to a lot of comedians.
Yeah.
Like, he's not super duper duper clean, but he's a relatively pretty clean comedian. And Judd's movies are usually kind of raunchy comedies and whatever. But I feel like it's weird that they haven't done something together, because they seem like they have that same quirky, like off tempo, kind of underplayed but goofy kind of just comedy, like both of them.
Yeah.
Speaking of Judd Apatow, have you seen Love on Netflix at all?
No, it's been recommended to me.
You should watch it then. Do you know what it's about? Do you know anything about it?
No.
You don't know anything about it?
Not really.
Would you like me to describe some of the highlights? Listener, listen up as well. Love is a really great show. It's very, very, very funny. It's created by Paul Rust, who's also the main character, Judd Apatow, and I think it's Paul Rust's wife as well. It's created by them, and like pretty much all the episodes are either directed by their friends. It's kind of an inside thing. Like all of them together are doing it. And it's real funny. It's one of the funniest. I'm gonna say it. It's one of the funniest TV shows I've seen.
Wow,
and
that's saying something.
It's not funny in like a ha 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 ha, but it's funny in like a that's like really cute but funny but really real. Like it's all the stuff is really real. Like in a lot of its goofiness, you're like, I can see like their reactions are what somebody's reactions would really be, which is great. I love it when comedies are, when it's not like someone, as much as I did like watching all those episodes of Family Guy, the reactions that happen because of the action are always unrealistic. Whereas Love is totally the opposite, where it's something kind of crazy that nothing happens, like this never happens to me, but the reaction is super, super, super similar to like, oh, I can totally see somebody reacting that way. That makes perfect sense to me. That they would be uncomfortable and they'd be weird. It kind of centers around a love story. Gus, who is the main character, played by Paul Rust. What's his name? Paul Rust, I believe is his name. They definitely want you to know that he's not Jewish. He's Catholic, despite his big snoz. He is an on-set tutor or on-set teacher for a show called, what's it called? It's a witch show. It's a witch show that's set in like the 50s or something. And he is he's an on-set teacher, and he runs into this woman that's like a radio producer, and they start up a weird conversation and a friendship, and he's into her and she sure as hell into him, but he starts dating another chick anyway, and then I think another chick too, maybe it's just one chick, and they can't get the timing right in season 1, and then season 2 comes around and they kind of got the timing right, and you realize that they kind of are in a somewhat dysfunctional relationship. So I highly recommend it. Pause 2. I will find my peace when I'm gone. Will you just leave me in pieces for so long? He was a good guy, he lived a good life, but how will you remember me pivotally? Labeled as a prodigy, but you know he was rotting. See, as beautiful things do too oftenly.
from the inside out, relating to obviously on what he predicated from the soul, honesty. Set himself apart on his own odyssey, stated that that's how it's gotta be, painted out a picture, vagrant, and that's how we gotta be. The phrases that he taught to me, not to lay your hands on, get off of me, you get too close, like the bark on a tree, so you end up how you started free.